Hey, Slifer Slackers! This is Tony Salerno, the original Chaz Princeton, and I'm here to introduce a semi-interesting YouTube channel that goes by the name of Anime Egotists. I guess I can relate to it, seeing as that ego is pretty important to the Chaz. The question is, are the Anime Egotists important to you? Why don't you stay tuned and find out?
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where our show wouldn't have a laugh track, but to be fair, I'm kind of okay with that.
I don't know. We're kind of that generic comedy, so it might need it.
No, we can't be tricking people into laughing at our stuff. But anyways, my name's Alex, and yes, whenever I get annoyed, I do look away like I'm looking in the camera, like a sitcom, because people say some dumb stuff.
It's mostly me on this podcast, and I'm Richard.
But we are the Anime Egotists, and when it comes to anime, we love Naruto, and one of maybe even Richard's favorite character, Kakashi.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't at least appreciate his character throughout the entire series and the role he plays in Naruto.
Exactly. He's funny, he's cool, he protects the people around him, and he's also a sensei to Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. But I gotta be honest, he's not that good of a sensei in my opinion.
And I can kind of understand that. My argument is he the best sensei in Naruto? No. But does he do his job? Absolutely, he does.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to talk about. So we didn't come up with a name for this, but we're trying to experiment with something. So for this type of video, we're both going to be debating. I think he's a bad sensei, Richard's a little more lenient. And whether we actually believe some of these, well, that's up for you guys to decide. But it's just something where we can debate.
Exactly. So did you have an idea of how you wanted to start this?
Yeah, but just let us know what you guys think. Let us know whose side you want to take, and hopefully we can do this with the podcast still being intact.
We'll see. This might be the final episode.
We went out, but let's get started. Okay, so Kakashi, one of the first things he does upon meeting Team 7 is giving them the bell exercise, which obviously is teamwork based. He doesn't tell them that, and I give him props for that. Why would he tell them straight up? There are times where your squad has to figure things out for themselves, but he kind of humiliates them throughout it.
Yeah, but that's, I think, to show that even though like Sasuke is this prodigy of his the best of his generation, it's to give to show that yes, you are good, but you do not have the experience yet to challenge the best of the best. And that's why you need to work together to be able to even come close to challenging me.
Very true. And I also remember when Sasuke does the fireball jutsu, Kakashi specifically thinks to himself, what? Genin shouldn't be able to use techniques like that. It requires too much chakra. Remember that point for later. But he goes through and he completely obliterates all of them with his not while talking about it. But then things get here. So far, things are good because, like I said, it is one of my favorite set of episodes where he tells them those who break the rules are scum, those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. Good stuff. But then once we get to the Land of Waves, he starts teaching them how to run up trees. Sakura gets it instantly because of her chakra control. And Naruto and Sasuke, he tells them, well, figure it out, you guys. And it would be cool if he taught Sakura something else, like, oh, you mastered this, but let's move on to something else. But they just didn't do that.
Yeah, the argument I see with a lot of this with Sakura is that this is kind of their first big mission away from the village. And I don't know, with this, Kakashi, I feel like he needs backup. He is still recovering, so he's kind of using Sakura as that extra set of eyes while Naruto and Sasuke continue to train. So I can kind of understand why he doesn't pull her aside while they're technically on this kind of dangerous mission and leaves this family completely undefended.
True, but I guess my thing is the idea of he never even mentions to Sakura Or even stays with Naruto and Sasuke and be like, okay, guys, you're messing up. So here's what this is. Like, to give Sakura some credit, she's helpful with Naruto about it, and then Naruto doesn't help Sasuke about it because Naruto's kind of a jerk back then.
I the other thing is with this, and I know I'm probably jumping ahead with this, is I think Kakashi felt that he would have had more time. He did not realize that his team would last pretty much 1 year and then fall apart when Sasuke left and Naruto left to train with Jiraiya.
Yeah, but it was very, very obvious that Sasuke was going bad. That was kind of the problem for me.
I think the issue is that Kakashi he saw too much of himself, and in that he saw someone who is too loyal to the village, too loyal to the mission, not and in Sasuke's case, it's to get his brother, but he's tried to give him the lessons that he learned the hard way without forcing everything on Sasuke. But yeah, he does slack a little too much towards the end of uh, Naruto.
Yeah, and the worst part, it's like he makes it abundantly clear that Sasuke is the person he's interested in. And yes, every of the all the other Jonin had favorites. Awesome had Shikamaru, Kurenai had Hinata, Guy had Lee, but I still feel like they all learned from their sensei. Hey, let's think about this. Might Guy could not teach Neji anything. He didn't have Gentle Fist, he didn't have the Byakugan, but he did help Neji learn alongside Lee that somebody who starts off with nothing can eventually grow stronger. And that did help Neji become a happier person throughout his life. He my guy, to an extent, did try show Tenten, hey, you're really good at weapons and close combat, so let's work on that. And Kakashi found out that Sakura has chakra control. So in theory, you'd be like, oh, chakra control. That'd be great for Genjutsu. And Kakashi knows over 1,000 jutsu, and he teaches her none of them.
Again, I think it has to do with timing. He really didn't have a great chance because he wanted to trade Sasuke because Sasuke had a chance to compete in the continuation of the Chunin exams. Again, I can also see because he did kind of drop Naruto with Ebisu Sensei, and that's never a good thing. But
I I guess for me it would have helped if Kakashi had said, "Hey, Sakura, I can't," because at least to give him some credit, he does say give Naruto to Ebisu, but with Sakura, it's just like, well, you're on your own for a month. And during that period, we don't know if he even keeps in contact with Naruto or Sakura. It's just like, oh, well, I have to be with Sasuke. We don't know if they've seen each other in the month leading up to the finals of the Chunin exam.
and it's heavily implied that it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Like even like I know Kurenai was busy with Shino and like that's the main one since it's Genjutsu, but you'd like to think he would at least point her in the direction of somebody and be like, hey, can you help out Sakura so she doesn't fall behind? And even jumping back a bit, when he tells everybody, I want all three of you to take you, I'm recommending you all for the tuning exam. When Guy specifically says, I held my students a year back so they'd be ready. Now, only one and a half of them were ready. But it's like, I don't know. Oh, he didn't do a whole lot to prepare them because Sasuke would have been fine. Sakura would have passed the written exam, but she would have failed in fights, and Naruto was the exact opposite.
But I think when it comes to that written test, Kakashi already knew what it involved, being that it's not necessarily about actually answering all the questions, but it's about cheating and the gumption to take the final question, and knew that Naruto was probably too stupid to try to cheat, so he would pass because of that.
Sure, okay, but hypothetically, what would have happened if that didn't work? What would have happened if he didn't even make it? Like Naruto couldn't have tried to answer it. He couldn't have said, Naruto, maybe just teach him one thing.
The question is, how much of the test did he know? Because it could have just been random stuff that changes every time. So
Okay, that's a fair point. But what about Sakura? Once again, Sakura was not prepared. She cut her hair. That was her biggest accomplishment in that part.
and again, they're kind of at this point they're still supposed to be getting that haven't even completed their first year of, I guess, service to the village. They're new. They're at So her skills are kind of understandable. She should have been taught a little bit more at this point, but she's still, again, they're what, maybe 6 months into their first year, if that.
Something like that. The timeline of Naruto is always something that they've kind of been they have kind of haven't been great with explaining.
I know it's heavily implied that Sasuke leaves close to 1 year after they graduate and become a team. That's the only thing that's really heavily implied. So again, with Sakura, I still feel like Kakashi felt that he had more time, and yes, he probably should have pushed her more and maybe held them back a year before sending them to the tuning exams. But again, once Sasuke left, Naruto left with Jiraiya, it's heavily implied Kakashi feels that he, at this point, he's 100% failed and needs to go train himself to be able to live up to being the master that he wanted to be for them. And then that's why he doesn't continue Sakura's training, because at this point she's found Tsunade and has an idea of how to continue her own training.
And I wouldn't mind that so much, but to me, there's a bit of arrogance throughout. Like remember when Iruka's like, "Oh, I really don't think it's a good idea that they take the tuning exam." Like, sure, Iruka is like a father to a lot of these kids, so he might have bias, but in a sense, he could have been right. And Kakashi just says, "Well, they're not your students anymore; they're mine." I'm like, "Are you sure? Because you haven't done jack with them."
But that brings up a good question, because later on it's shown that other academy students learn to do that stuff that Kakashi has to teach them on the Land of Waves mission at the academy. So does that mean that this class is completely behind, or is this how they just changed the curriculum the year after?
I think they changed the curriculum, though, to be I think they changed the curriculum, so in a sense, that's not fully on Kakashi. But at this, it is a little weird. I noticed that it's just like, wait, why are Boruto and his friends learning this now? I don't know. It seems like schools always improve the second you leave.
Yeah, they even kind of hint at it with like Konohamaru and his group seeming to have, they don't necessarily have it, but they, I don't know if it's because they learn it from Naruto in a filler episode or something, but they're implied to already know that sort of stuff by the time they graduate as well.
I remember an episode where they said, well, it's just like, oh, just try walking up cliffs. It's just like we don't learn that until we're seniors in the academy, and I'm just like, that's
That might be another discussion, is how unbalanced the academy seems to be for per generation.
you know, if we ever get a Dream Naruto game, I get the feeling the Academy is either going to be the greatest thing about this game or the worst thing, and I'm not sure, or maybe both somehow.
Yeah, I could definitely see it being like amazing at the start, and then you get really annoyed at it for some reason towards
Yeah.
the middle.
I've been taking notes about ideas on it. That's another point for another day. But back with Kakashi, it even goes back to where remember when he learned that Lee knew well, 5 of the 8 gates, and he's like, what? And he kind of gives guy a look like, how dare you teach him something so dangerous? That's reckless. And to give a point to you, he does apologize to the guy later on, and that is a good sign. He's like, I was stupid, I was a fool. Well, it's a good sign of that, but I guess to me, the problem with always focusing on Sasuke is that there are moments where Naruto is excited to see Kakashi, where he'll hug him because he's excited. And just, I don't need Kakashi to be all happy and touchy feely and everything, but it does feel like Naruto kind of gets neglected.
I can kind of see that, especially in part one, because he's, again, so focused on Sasuke. Again, I feel like he's really trying his hardest because he sees the darkness that he saw in himself when he was that age, going through the loss of his father, the loss of his entire team, his mentor. I feel like he sees Sasuke walking down this path that he is desperately trying to avoid setting him down by trying to show him, like, give him power to continue to grow with through the oh god, lightning blade. What? Chidori, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the jutsu he used to kill a lot of people when he was part of the Anbu and the Root, which is exactly why he lets Sasuke learn it. And he tells him, hey, with your Sharingan, you can only use it 2, maybe 3 times a day. Hey, but at the same time, I'm like, don't you think you should start small, like different lightning techniques that you know Sasuke is good enough to manage? And then went down the line when things are going well, you're like, okay, now I can teach you this really powerful jutsu that does have some costly drawbacks.
And it's heavily implied the exact same way, just in reverse with uh Guy, that it's like you taught him that kind of thing through Guy and Jiraiya when they learn that the other taught that. I guess that's one of those scenes because after the first attempted fight at the hospital between Sasuke and Naruto, and it's like Kakashi's shocked that Naruto knows the Rasengan, and then and Jiraiya's shocked that Sasuke knows Chidori. They're just like,
How dare you teach Naruto that jutsu? I'm like, well, what else was he gonna learn?
yeah, it's his father's technique.
You just hear Naruto's like, wait, what about my dad? You'll learn next year. What next year?
Actually, you'll learn in like 7 years, but whatever.
God, it did all. Yeah, that is another point that it's just like, oh, he's the son of the fourth Hokage. I'm like, well, they look the exact same. So who else was his dad?
I don't know. I always thought Kakashi was his dad.
Oh well, well then he is a bad parent. But I guess to me, and here's the thing: we talk about, oh well, he could have taught Sasuke these different techniques or this different stuff. But to me, he focused on the wrong thing. Hey, by teaching Sasuke the Chidori, he made Sasuke more powerful and more dangerous. But he didn't. In my opinion, he should have focused on making Sasuke a better person, not a more dangerous person.
That is probably very true. He, again, I here it's probably he's tried to earn Sasuke's, I guess, respect more than anything, and it pushes him a little bit more than he should. So he gives him the stuff that Sasuke really wants, which is the power to try to defeat his brother at this point.
Yeah, and in Kakashi's defense, it's not like Orochimaru was necessarily helping in that regard.
I do want to jump back in the past because we get flashbacks to the teams that attempted to form under Kakashi in the past, and it's heavily shown. I mean, he takes it to an extreme, unfortunately, because he does pretty much ban them from becoming true ninjas for the rest of their careers. They're stuck as somewhere in between Genin and the academy, so they just go help the students is what it's implied to be.
I thought it was they just simply are dropped from the program, which I don't know. Does that mean if you go out and save someone's life using ninjutsu, you get like punished or something like that? The whole idea that it's a program, like it's just an after school club or something, just made it seem all the more ridiculous.
Yeah, but I always liked the idea that while these kids didn't understand what Kakashi was trying to teach them, even after he explained it to them, to see them like a year or two later, kind of towards the start of the series, run up to Kakashi and thank him for teaching them that important lesson, and that they're trying to teach others it now themselves. It just that felt like something that, yes, while he was very harsh, probably overly so at this point, he did everything, or he was doing a good job with, at least at this first lesson, especially.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's when he says they all got dropped from the program, just implies they can no longer be ninja. And to somewhat defend him, he probably thought to himself, if these kids die because they're not ready, it'll be my fault. So I'd rather them give up on being ninja and live good lives rather than dying. At the same time, though, you're a teacher. It's your job to prepare these kids.
And again, that's the thing, because it's not heavily focused on. It only gets a couple scenes where it's just shown that the previous team's failing, but they're shown in that little time skip though, still having their headbands and stuff. So that's why I question whether they were fully dropped or if it's one of those I'm failing you, you're you're out, and then they have to either go back to the academy and try again next year, or it's not really implied what they have to go through
Do
here.
we know specifically who he failed?
It's just it's probably filler characters in the anime, or maybe it's one-offs in the manga, but they're because they have kind of generic designs. They're not from any easily identifiable clans, from what I remember. So they just kind of don't work together or anything, and get told, "Hey, yeah, no, you're out. I'm done with y'all."
If we got more focus on them and then saw, then I might be able to give that point to you. But I don't know. It's very much it's very much a kind of gray area that we don't know too much about.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to get to see like just how many teams he actually failed, because it's heavily implied it's like 10 or more teams that he's kind of done this to.
Yeah, and to talk about some other sensei, people might get on and be like, well, my guy, well, all the others focused on one student more than the others. I'm like, yeah, but Sasuke was like, let me put it this way: if you put Sasuke with another sensei, he still would have been he still would have been relatively ready. He was one of the better students coming out of the academy. Lee was Lee and Tenten were, I hate to say it, were nothing before Guy Sensei came along, and he took them from Lee from zero to maybe nine to in the 90s, and Tenten from zero to, well, maybe like 60 or 70. But he tried really, really hard for her.
Yeah, I think another issue with, and this is something I've definitely wanted to concede, is that you're right when you said earlier that Kakashi should have at least pointed them in the right direction, like he does in Shippuden with Naruto learning wind style from Asuma,
Yeah.
because he should have again pointed at least to Kurenai. Maybe he should have been like the one to recommend, like if that didn't happen, maybe he should have been the one to recommend Sakura go to Tsunade to learn healing if that's what she feels is her calling instead, and then it would have been more interesting. It would, because then that kind of changes the dynamic a little bit. So I will concede that he should have been a better at directing his pupils to sense it, or to people that could teach them what they need to learn.
Yeah. Then again, in his defense, I always found it weird how most of these kids didn't learn their nature release until they were like 15 or 16. Isn't that something, once again, isn't that something in the academy that be like, all right, you have Richard, you have lightning style. Maybe let's work on, we're not going to give you everything, but let's work a little bit on it. It feels like the academy is slacking, and I don't know. I can't completely blame Kakashi because it feels like the academy just stops trying at some point.
Yeah, because I mean, by the time we get, I guess, two or three generations later with the Boruto group, they all seem to know some sort of elemental release jutsu by the time they graduate. Because I know we see Boruto use like a fire style, if I remember correctly, or maybe it's
Yeah.
water style. I can't
I mean,
remember.
I believe it's water. He uses a couple different things. Then again, he also has that weird thing on his wrist that those weird scrolls that let you use other ones. So that doesn't technically count, so, but
But
still.
this is even like before that's revealed in the tuning exams. This is like while they're at the academy. It's he uses some different releases.
Yeah, it's like and maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, like Kakashi said, they can't use it because it's too much chakra, but at least prepare them in the sense of, okay, Alex, you have water release, congratulations. When you get out of the academy, go over, find this guy.
Yeah, it seems like there could be a lot better overall in the system. It's not necessarily, this is definitely not Kakashi's fault when it comes to elemental releases. Should he have done it when he realized that Sakura and Naruto didn't know what their nature releases were? Probably.
Yeah.
But again, he focused heavily on Sasuke. And again, I think I will swear up and down, this is him trying to save Sasuke on his end.
Oh, I'm not saying he's not. That's the thing. He's not neglecting these kids. He's not a bad teacher on purpose. He actually is trying, especially when he tells Sasuke all the people you're talking about are already dead. But I guess for me, that and as great of a moment as that is, as powerful as it is, when he says, "Still, we turned out okay. We do have people who care about us and who we want to protect." And then he just says, "Well, I'm gonna let you sit with that. You figure it out. How if it makes sense." I'm like, dude, you can't like sit with this guy and be like, "Hey, want to go get some barbecue or something." He seems to keep Sasuke kind of at arm's length sometimes.
And again, I think that's stems from his own tragic backstory, being that he doesn't want to get too close with people, from the fact that his dad, well, his mom died, I guess, years ago. His dad killed himself after his failed mission, and the rest of Team Minato all passed away in a very short period of time. I mean, it's implied it's within like 2-3 years of Obito's death that Minato dies.
Yeah,
So
and to be fair, Minato might have been an even worse sensei from what I've heard.
yeah, I think the issue there is that, again, Kakashi, even before he was getting under him, he was already more even better than like half the rest of these ninjas in the tuning level. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's very similar to if you have a star athlete try to coach some people. Eventually they're gonna get frustrated because like, how come you're not picking up on this as fast as I am? But I guess if that was the case, if he like let's say he knew Naruto had an affinity for wind style and Naruto was struggling to get it, and then he started getting frustrated, I'd be like, okay, in a sense that makes sense, but it just feels like in some cases he just was like, oh, Naruto, you have wind release, even though you're like 15 or 16 now. Go talk to Asuma and Yamato. You'll be set.
yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I know Kakashi can do it because when we see stuff with him describing how things work with Sasuke when he's off training to learn Chidori, and uh, when he's helping Naruto learn the different things he needs to do to be able to upgrade the Rasengan to the Wind style Shuriken version. He's got he's able to explain stuff about like uh, the shadow clones and stuff to Naruto, and he's able to adapt kind of to where Naruto isn't that prodigy that him and Sasuke were, where he can explain it and it makes sense to the other. He learns quickly that he has to show Naruto what he means by doing the rock paper scissors for a bowl of ramen thing.
Something like that could have worked.
Well, as I said, that part, when he puts his mind to it, he can be an excellent teacher. It's just, I think a lot of Kakashi's problem is that he is that prodigy, and while he knows other people aren't as good, it's hard for him to accept that the others are not as able as he is.
Yeah, those are all explanations, but to me, they're not excuses. And if he told me all this, I'd be like, yeah, I understand everything, but dude, you are lucky that Jiraiya, Tsunade, and I guess to some extent Orochimaru showed up because without Jiraiya and Tsunade, Sakura would probably not still be alive, and Naruto probably would have gone dark.
I don't know. I guess because we've got Obito kind of being that uh, same boat of being a really nice guy who eventually learns that. So I can see Naruto going dark, I guess, in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, and we even talked about it before. If something happened to Aruka, which I would never hope for, I don't think Naruto would say, "Hey, Kakashi Sensei, could you walk? Could you be my father at the wedding?" I don't see that based on everything.
No, and at that point, uh, he's already got to be the priest or whatever for the wedding,
Yeah, I guess so.
officiate the wedding. That's the term.
That wedding, as sweet as that wedding was, it always somewhat confused me.
But again, I feel Kakashi had his limitations, yes, but is he as bad as everybody says that he's a bad sensei? I don't think so. I think he's still that he had his own failings that he did not allow him to teach the way he should have.
I guess for me, I look at other sensei, and even if their getting aren't as strong, I at least feel like there's a connection there and that they tried. Also, in a sense, I'm kind of thinking to myself, who's a worse sensei than Kakashi? Because it's not Kurenai, it's definitely not Asuma or Guy. They were or Jiraiya Tsunade. I'm trying to think of sensei who are worse than Kakashi, and that's kind of the problem.
Ebisu.
I mean, he Konohama, they're all three of them are pretty high level or relatively high level ninja right now in Boruto, aren't they?
I think that's more from what they learned from like Naruto and the others of the next of that generation. Is
To
it?
be fair, Ebisu doesn't get that much screen time, and it is kind of implied that Ebisu did respect him in Shippuden, but I don't know. Ebisu's not around enough for me to put blame on him. That's he's kind of an oddball.
Yeah. I mean, there you could say this. Well, we don't see enough of their training. I was going to say the leader of the Sound siblings, but we don't see enough of their training because it's kind of implied that they're like there's a lot more of like a basic training kind of thing, and since they're all supposed to be super strong members of the head clan of the Sound or the
I
Sand
was gonna
Village.
say you. Oh, Baki. Oh no, I don't like Baki. You might beat me that. You might have me there, but that's more because Baki killed Hayate, and I like Hayate.
Yeah, again, that's what we would need to see more of their past because by the time they arrive in the Leaf, they're already among the strongest Genin in the world, if not already close to Jonin level.
Well, Tamari and Gar are, but the Konqueror's kind of tough but in Konqueror's defense, he lost to Shino. Not too many people. Losing to Shino's not the worst thing in the world. He's ridiculously strong.
Yeah, Shino's one that should have been promoted to Chunin after his part in the battle.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's just like, well, you beat Conqueror anyway. Nobody was around to see it, but we'll promote you anyway. What else are we gonna do?
I mean, his was a one-on-one fight when everybody else's was like Sasuke started the fight, then uh, Naruto took over, and while Naruto won more, there's implied stuff was affected by Gaara from the previous fight with Sasuke. So
Yeah. Yeah, but to me, I guess going back to Kakashi, I guess the thing is you did all so you ignored Naruto, you ignored Sakura, all to focus on Sasuke, and you still lost him. You still lost him not only to another sensei, but he betrayed the village. And even it's weird because Itachi, in my opinion, has more to do with Sasuke's quote unquote redemption than Kakashi does. And Itachi's the one who caused the trauma in the first place.
yeah, I mean, uh, it that could be something else we will eventually discuss is the Sasuke retrieval arc and what who probably should have been called back for it instead of who went on it. But that could be a video for another day.
I don't know. I really like everybody who they sent out.
I know, but I mean, if it's someone who's the last of your clan who has a massive this massive truckers reserve has one of the strongest Kekkei Genkai in the entire universe, and you send a rookie tuning with a team of Genin out. Yes, it's a lot of them are really strong Genin, but they're all still really young for this group to face off against what is supposed to be like the Jonin level of the Sound Village. So again, this is another topic that I think we could have.
True, but it revealed that they were still reeling from the Konoha Crush stuff and everybody else was busy on missions?
It is, but it feels like okay, you're about to lose this. You recall someone and send a secondary team to do a different mission.
If part of me would like to know what Shino and his dad were doing because Kiba said, "Oh, Shino can't do it. He's off on some big important mission with his dad," which I don't think we ever figured out what it was.
They were already looking for the bug to hunt Sasuke.
It's just like maybe if we do it, this Bakochu Beetle filler stuff never happens.
We find it. We already have it in the village ready to go.
But Hinata gets character development through that arc. No, no, it's not worth Naruto farting in our faces again. It's no.
That's what, like the fourth time in the entire series. So
I'm telling you, Kiba should have gone bad guy simply just for that.
yeah, probably. But will I admit, yes, Kakashi is not the best sensei. He is. There's the others do a better job. Do I feel that he is a bad sensei? No, I feel like he has a lot to teach, and he when he does put his mind to it, he does teach it well. He just has his own failings that, again, as I said, he keep that prevent him from doing the best job that he could be doing.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with bad purely because had he tried more and still failed, then I'd be like, I'd be more willing to forgive that. But it almost it I don't know. There's some arrogance that goes into play with him that as I get older does start to bother me. But for me, is Kakashi a bad sensei? Yes. Could he have done better? Yes. But does that make me hate Kakashi? Absolutely not.
No, he's still one of the best characters that isn't necessarily in every episode.
Yeah, he went on to be a good Hokage, though. I can't not to sully him or anything, but I can't imagine how much worse you can be after a fourth Great War. Like things can't get worse after that, can they?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's what, 20 years, not even like 15 years later when Naruto's Hokage and all the crap happens
Well,
again.
okay, he's a better Hokage than Naruto. We can give him that.
Yeah, again, I'd be more interested. I think Kakashi would have absolutely succeeded as a sensei at like the Shippuden timeline era. If he had started then, when he's kind of become more playful with Guy, he's a bit more friendly. I think if he had like a second team that he teaches, then that would be kind of interesting to see because I think he actually might do better then.
It is kind of weird how a lot of the old Jonin don't have getting anymore. Like I understand maybe age might be a factor, but like you could still teach some cool stuff.
I mean, it's heavily implied that even in Boruto, Kakashi is still, even without the Sharingan and being, I think he's in his 40s at that point, that he is still a Kage level threat because of his knowledge of Jutsu and his overall strength.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's that one kid who looks just like him, who's I guess not even he's more of a filler character. And he's on Sai's team. I still don't understand a lot. I still don't understand what happened there.
Which is weird because I think Sai is supposed to be head of the Anbu, which
Yes, he is.
it's like, okay, so how is he both a teacher to three students and leading the entire Black Ops division
I
of
think
the village?
I don't know if this is true or not, but I think I heard he actually is trying to teach these kids to be Anbu members. So maybe they both go hand in hand together. I don't really know.
I guess maybe they have. I haven't seen this episode of Boruto, so I don't know if they're actually like, oh, we've got each got special talents that we will eventually use to kill people.
Dude, I've tried. Dude, I've said this isn't meant to belabor any point, but I've tried with Boruto. I can't do it. I got like 30 episodes in. I tried my hardest. I can't do it.
Again, yeah, that might be a discussion that because I think everybody really wanted more like prequel. Here's a 12 episode story following Minato during the third Great Ninja
Or
War.
hell, the other villages.
Yeah, here's some episodes on the height of the seven ninja swordsmen, the ones that are resurrected in there, getting to watch them do their thing.
Yeah, they could have just made
I
episodes
mean,
about
there's so many interesting.
They could have
Oh,
just
our
made it.
characters.
Yeah, about our squads, despite the fact like, oh well, we hadn't made those characters yet, but sure, okay.
Yeah, there's yeah, but
But
I guess
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, hey, like I said, he is a good person. He's a great character, one of my favorites. But he's not a good set. He was not a good sensei in my opinion. He retires from being Hokage. He marries Guy. I think I still can't tell, but things are working out for him so far. Even though apparently he hates Boruto.
It's an attitude thing with Boruto. He doesn't like that Boruto didn't have his own ambition, if I remember correctly, or something along those lines.
I think you paid more attention to that scene than I did, but so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I watched it when it originally premiered, and then haven't and then I forgot where I got to, and then I stopped. I think it was when they were doing the Chunin arc I stopped watching.
Well, to be fair, we did see that in the movie.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they're doing what Dragon Ball did, except Dragon Ball did this better.
And I actually prefer the Dragon Ball movie, in all honesty.
Well, that's what I meant. It's like I mean I like the movie, but I feel that they add a good enough bit more in the show to at least make it fun to rewatch through the show itself.
No, I laugh way too hard at the scene where they're all singing "Happy Birthday" to Himawari and the clone disappears. I might be a bad person for that.
Oh God, that scene.
I remember Jabari and I would not stop laughing. You just sat there like I'm roommates with monsters.
Oh God, yeah. But I think I became one after enough time, so it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Unlike Kakashi, who's not a monster, just a bad sensei in my opinion.
And again, I stick with the opinion that he's not the greatest, but he was fine for what he did. He's kind of in that middle ground. I don't think he's the worst that you could see on there.
There's a word for that, you know. It's called a simp. Hey, we're like 40 minutes in and we just now started insulting each other. That's not too bad.
Yeah, especially for something that we're coming in on kind of opposite sides from, kind of. I don't know.
And there's probably going to be somebody who's like, oh, you guys didn't fight enough. Well, get over it. But I don't have any more for Kakashi.
I don't either. That kind of covers everything.
Yeah. So are we ready to close out?
And I believe we are.
All right, so ladies, gentlemen, and others, what do you think of Kakashi as a sensei? Do you think he could have been better? Do you think he could have been worse? Whose side did you gravitate more towards?
Yeah, and then, I mean, do you take, I guess, kind of the third option where you say he's the best teacher? I can't imagine you would, but...
Richard loves Kakashi, and I don't even think he feels that way.
Again, I'm kind of... We're kind of like this. It's like, I'm not... Where you say he's bad and I don't say he's exactly good, he's not the worst. He's kind of categorical to...
Yeah, and if there are any worse sensei, please let us know. And if any of you say Asuma or Guy, then we're going to have to fight.
Yeah, they definitely went out of their way to help every single one of their team, even though they had their favorites that were the ones that kind of were their special projects.
Yeah, of course. And let us know if you like these videos where we both kind of debate with each other.
Yeah, we've got a couple different topics. I think we came up with a few just in this video alone.
Yeah. Sadly, I didn't write most of them down, but at least this is recorded. But as usual, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, be good to each other, and we'll see you next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
And you have been listening to Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.